Television, the community's first choice for news in the 90s. This is Don Shelby and Cindy Hilger. And this is the 6 o'clock news.
Good evening. There is a development in a sensitive case the FBI has been investigating. It involves the Minneapolis police.
Well, since late January, the FBI has been looking into racist letters that were sent to black Minneapolis police officers. Agents had an idea that the letters came from within the police department because some were sent through inter-office mail routes. Caroline Lowe joins us now from a precinct in North Minneapolis with the story. Caroline, why are you there?
Well, Don, sources tell WCCO Television that the investigators have narrowed their investigation to the 4th precinct behind me, where typewriter ribbons were confiscated here as they were throughout the department. They have recently identified a typewriter within this precinct, but this afternoon the FBI refused to discuss this latest development other than to say they're continuing to pursue the case aggressively. We also asked Chief John Locke's office for a comment, and they also said they could not comment on this latest development. So he said the latest thing we know is that they have identified the ribbon from a typewriter here in the 4th precinct, but we have no other information in terms of how close they are into identifying the actual person who wrote those letters.
Caroline, what has the reaction been among at least the police officers there at the 4th precinct?
Talked with a number of officers this afternoon, both white officers and black officers. They were both very surprised to find out about this development. Many of them were very angry and very upset to think this might have come out of their own precinct, and they're hoping to find out as soon as possible exactly who wrote those letters.
All right, Caroline. Thank you very much. Caroline Lowe reporting on a spate of racist letters to black police officers, which has been narrowed down now to the police department itself.
The state legislature is taking another close look at drunk driving laws. Today, a bill that sets even stricter penalties continued to make its way through the Capitol, and that's where Pat Kessler is with the story. Pat?
Colleen, lawmakers are getting tougher and tougher on people who get drunk and then get behind the wheel. The House and Senate Judiciary Committees here at the Capitol have now both passed bills that takes away driver's licenses from first-time offenders who simply refuse to take a blood alcohol test. Failing the test, you could lose your license for 180 days. Second-time offenders would lose license plates on their cars if they're caught driving after the license was suspended. And four-time losers forfeit their cars for their 4th DWI in 5 years. Now, some who testified today thought even all that wasn't enough.
Just lock them up. Year the first time, 5 years the second time. Make it stiff.
This bill also gets tougher on drunk airplane pilots and drunk snowmobile and boat drivers. And interestingly, a new twist, HWI, that's hunting while intoxicated. This bill forces hunters to take blood alcohol tests, and if they fail, .10, they'll get their licenses taken away for up to 5 years. Colleen?
All right, thank you. Pat Kessler at the state capitol. A major Minnesota drug law was ruled unconstitutional today because it presumes a defendant's guilt based solely on the weight of the drugs he or she is carrying. Brenda K. Clausen of Savage was convicted of being a drug dealer because she possessed more than 10 grams of cocaine. The state had no obligation to prove she even intended to sell the drugs. As a result, even with no prior arrests, she could go to prison for at least 4 years. But if she had been caught with less than 10 grams, she'd get probation, even if the state could prove she was a dealer. A Hennepin County District Judge decided the presumption isn't fair and voided the law. He's agreed to expedite an appeal of the case because of its impact on drug law enforcement.
People on both sides of the abortion issue in the Twin Cities are waiting for more information on today's announcement from the Bush administration. The administration says it is easing its gag rule about abortion advice in federally funded clinics. Doctors will now be able to give their patients advice on abortion if the advice is based on medicine and not on social concerns. But officials from Planned Parenthood say the announcement is double talk and does little to help inform women about the cases that they have and choices they have in abortion. An administrative law judge has fined a Minneapolis dentist $1,500 for denying treatment to an HIV-positive patient. Judge George Beck found that Dr. Donald J. Clausen violated the Minnesota Human Rights Act when he refused to clean the teeth of James Billy Busby of Minneapolis. The Assistant Attorney General, who argued the case for Busby, says this is a landmark case that will guarantee HIV-positive patients will be able to receive health care.
More than $25,000 may have been embezzled from bank accounts of the Eden Prairie Boys Basketball Association. Police seized financial records from the home of the group's treasurer and may seek criminal charges against him as early as next week. The losses were discovered when unpaid bills turned up from a sporting goods store, a photographer, and a tournament organizer. The private volunteer association serves 600 second through 9th grade boys. There was quite a traffic backup on 35W this morning near downtown Minneapolis. A backhoe apparently fell off a transport truck near the Franklin Avenue Bridge over Highway 65. It took a while to get everything cleared off, but traffic did get back to normal eventually, and there were no injuries in the accident.
Well, if you went up above the highways just a little bit, you'd find out the most crowded route through the air from the Twin Cities is the one that goes from here to Chicago. And today, air travelers got a new choice on that route, one that offers cheaper ticket prices. Alan Cox reports on the first batch of bargain hunters.
As the sun rose over Twin Cities International, so did the third incarnation of Braniff Airlines. Its return was greeted by passengers lured to a bargain, $39 tickets one way to Chicago.
Because it's the cheapest airline flying right down there right now. We're just paying $300 for flying 400 miles.
Their rates are so phenomenal. It's just outstanding. My heart goes out to them.
Maybe they could use some sympathy. Airlines named Braniff went bankrupt twice before. Today's jet was originally owned by now defunct Eastern, and some of the crews are refugees of troubled airlines.
Well, we're real excited about it. We're going to be flying into a lot of new cities, and we hope to get a lot of people traveling on us. We think we will. We're already getting a lot of advance reservations.
On some days, maybe too many. The Chicago Tribune says regulators are investigating Braniff's operating procedures because of overbookings and flight cancellations. But there is a demand for lower fares, especially among travelers who say they don't get much of a choice in the Twin Cities. The airport says it's trying to help.
So there's never been a new entrant that wanted to get in here that didn't find the gates and the space and the ticket counter and the other facilities to serve.
The commission has gone to court trying to get the gate used by bankrupt Midway Airlines, and the airport is trying to lure another low-fare carrier. But industry analysts say it's often difficult for new airlines to establish themselves because they often have to buy services from their competitors. Today, 40 minutes late, Braniff made its own move for the local travel dollar. Alan Cox, WCCO Television News, Twin Cities International.
One way Braniff saves money is by selling tickets only through its own 800 number instead of going through travel agents. The airline says it's trying to improve things since January, when it managed only to answer 1 out of every 15 calls made to it. Now there's quite a bit more to come yet on the 6 o'clock news.
Up next, an emotional reunion in Red Wing. Several airmen finally meet the men who saved their lives 50 years ago. And then later in sports, whittling down the field in the NCAA tournament. Ralph John Fritz will have all of this afternoon's highlights.
And it's spring, can't you tell? Rebecca Coles will be here with the weekend forecast. Come on, come on, come on, Wynn.
It has a dual overhead camshaft design, 4 valves per cylinder, and a responsive double wishbone suspension. The Acura Integra, an idea that began with a Formula One race car and has been evolving ever since.
Minnesota Twins baseball on MSC.
Let True Value Hardware Stores introduce you to some of our nation's hardest working homeowners. You could say their favorite style is country, and is budget never out of reach. Planning crafty new ideas and scouting out the right materials, they settle far from the nearest neighbor in search of a room with a view. True Value Hardware Stores and home centers take pride in the homes of our country's first do-it-yourselfers. Join us by taking pride in our national parks.
Join Channel 4 in helping stock Minnesota's food shelves. Your donation will make a difference.
A fire at a bakery in Lakeville today sent 6 people to the hospital. The fire started in an oven at the Grist Mill Baking Company. There is no word yet on how much damage the fire caused. The 6 people taken to the hospital were treated for smoke inhalation. They were released early this afternoon.
Today in Red Wing, Minnesota, a handful of World War II heroes who flew the first bombing raid on Japan, known as the Doolittle Raid, gathered for a special event. A 50-year reunion brought together 8 surviving aviators with some of their Chinese rescuers who cared for them after they crash-landed on the Chinese mainland. Brad Good reports.
It started here 50 years ago, 600 miles off the coast of Japan.
Because we had no bases near enough to bomb Japan, the carrier Hornet served as a takeoff runway for Doolittle's B-25 Air Force bombers.
Jimmy Doolittle's famous raid on Japan. 16 B-25s loaded with bombs take off for a symbolic sneak attack on Tokyo, a symbol that shook Japanese confidence and boosted sagging American spirit. The mission was a one-way trip. Most of the crews ended up crash landing in Japanese-held China. The surviving airmen are rescued by civilians who risked their lives to keep the Americans safe. After 5 decades, those flyers and their rescuers were reunited, giving the aviators another chance to say thanks.
I feel with very little hesitation that they probably saved our lives.
A farmer who protected the living and the dead, the fisherman's wife who fed and sheltered a crew, a postal inspector who picked up a downed crew in a mail truck, and the doctor who amputated a pilot's leg to save his life, all met again today with the famous aviators.
We have been missing our old friends, so it is also my first trip to America. And so I want to meet with the old friends that I saved.
But now, 50 years later, to have had the opportunity of meeting again a man whom I never thought would happen again, to see him, was a very moving experience.
Moving indeed it was, as the entire group was honored for their heroic display of humanity in a time long ago, but still very vivid to all of them. Brad Good, WCCO Television News, Red Wing.
Today's reunion was arranged by a guy named Brian Moon from Minnesota. He met the Chinese rescuers 2 years ago while he was looking for wreckage of the American bombers.
See your Great Northern Jeep and Eagle dealer, where you can expect the best.
You make me feel so young. You make me feel there are songs to be sung. And every time I see you grin.
Promise Spread has no cholesterol and is lower in saturated fat than leading margarines.
You make me feel so young.
Promise. Get Heart Smart.
Why the rest?
Flakes get soggy in milk.
Gee, I don't.
You Quaker Oat squares are whole grain oats. Sprinkle of brown sugar.
And we stay crunchy in...
Milk!
Quaker Oat squares. You'll love them from square one.
Everything that we say on the morning show is important. That's why I love it. The weather's important. Time. The temperature, the overnight sports scores, everything. We want to get everybody up and informed, but happy. I hear from more people who go on a trip, and they come back, and they turn on the radio till they find CCO radio, and my gosh, we're near home.
Men's Warehouse Fashion Update number 4. Athletic cut suits for $100 less.
This athletic cut suit sells nationally for $3.95. At the Men's Warehouse, the same manufacturer's suit is just $2.95. I guarantee it.
Now, Rebecca Coles and the weather.
Well, if you were able to wipe away the snow, you could see that spring was here. Snow was here, too, but...
little surprise.
It was a little...
Oh, no, you said snow was out there.
Well, I gotta admit, well...
Maybe not this early.
We were talking about snow coming in for tonight and tomorrow, and that's still going to be the case.
Got here a little early.
Well, a little impulse came through last night, and I'll tell you what, it did a pretty good job. It dumped about a half an inch of snow around the Twin Cities area. Right now, it is clear. We have the current temperature of 34 degrees. Winds are northeast at 7 miles an hour. The wind chill, 26, so that's what it feels like outside. Barometric pressure is rising at 30.10. Our daytime high today, 39. Our average is 39. Overnight low was 27. And take a look at that. We did get almost a half an inch of snow. So where does that put us in the snow statistics? Actually, we're looking pretty good. This has been the 6th snowiest season we've had on record. We've had 80.2 inches. Now, the record was set back in 1983-84 where we had 98.6. Now, this weekend, if we can get about an inch and, say, a tenth, we'll be flirting with the 5th snowiest season on record, so we're still moving up there. As we take a look at the satellite picture, today's the first day of spring, basically, or technically, that means the vernal equinox, when the sun parks itself right over the equator, giving us equal day and equal night. Now, the good part about that is the sun's going to slowly start moving to the north, temperatures slowly start warming up, so these quick cold spells we've been having, they won't last long. It will only get warmer. Even though the calendar did say spring today, boy, across the country in some areas that wasn't the case, especially around the Carolinas where they had some snow reported today. We had our share, of course, and then we've got some developing right around Montana. That's a storm system we're going to watch very carefully because that one is just going to skim by and catch us for the weekend. And then another vigorous storm moving onshore in Southern California. Now, as we take a look at the 4D satellite around the 5-state region, you can see that we had clear skies today, but we've got the clouds already starting to move in. We expect that we may see some light flurries late this evening as a low-pressure system approaches, but watch when we put everything into motion. You can see we're right on that fringe of getting clipped by this. It looks like the best activity is going to be in the southern section of the state. Twin Cities, just getting nicked. We'll see the clouds, we'll see the snow, we'll see the cooler temperatures, but as I mentioned, the temperatures won't last long. Spring is always an indication that things change quickly, so we'll keep in the 20s and 30s throughout much of the state. And then, by the first part of the week, we've been promising 40, possibly 50. We're still promising that. Here's what we're looking at for tonight, becoming partly cloudy or cloudy with a few flurries late. 25 will be our overnight low, winds north at 5 to 10. Light snow possible tomorrow, and this is going to be the wet stuff, so it's not going to stick and accumulate and cause many problems, or at least we hope not. High should be about 35 degrees. And as we take a look Saturday night, the skies will clear. It will get cooler, looking at 18 degrees. And then on Sunday, how about partly cloudy? Daytime high should be about 38 degrees, and then the 5-day forecast brings us very close to that 50-degree mark on Tuesday. Wouldn't be surprised at all if we go over the top on that one.
Oh, I hope so.
Would that be nice?
That's something to look forward to. Thanks, Rebecca.
RG's coming up. He's got sports in just a moment.
If you've been waiting all winter to buy a Ford truck, then now is the time. Your Ford dealer has just turned up the savings on America's best-selling compact pickup, Ford Ranger. Right now, get a special value Ranger with interval wipers, anti-lock brakes, a powerful V6 engine, and more, all at no extra charge. Plus, get up to $1,250 cash back or low 7.9 financing for 48 months. Then, as an added bonus, get a tough truck bed liner for only $119. Don't wait any longer. Get a special value Ford Ranger now at your local Ford dealer.
The all-Maytag sale at Montgomery Ward Electric Avenue.
Stampede's more like it.
Save $50 on this Maytag washer, plus get a $50 bond. Save $40 on this Maytag dryer, plus get a $50 bond.
I'd be safer out on the freeway.
Save $90 on this washer dryer, plus get a $100 bond. Save $50 in this Maytag dishwasher, plus get a $50 bond. And get a Maytag refrigerator for just $599.99.
Peace at last.
Don't miss all Maytags on sale at Montgomery Ward Electric Avenue.
Pure cabin fever at the sports show, March 13th to the 22nd.
You gotta be kidding. Where'd you get that?
No luck with the lunkers?
Give me a break.
Catch the sports show.
Hey, now that's more like it.
Everything you need for the great outdoors is indoors. At the sports show, March 13th to the 22nd at the Minneapolis Convention Center.
Let's go!
Right now, save on storm doors and more at Menards. Larson storm and screen doors are on sale. Larson doors are built with a solid wood core for extra strength. starting at just $88. And save on storm and screen door hardware from Wright Products. Choose from locks, closers, latches, and more. Now 20% off our everyday low prices. Make Menards your storm door headquarters.
Save big money at Menards.
R.J. Fritz is here. There was really only one upset today in the NCAA. I think only one big upset.
Well, there's one brewing right now. Oklahoma is getting beat.
Get out of
fourth,
here.
Yeah, fourth seeded, and they're losing by like 3 in the latter stage of that game. I'll have an update for you in a minute. The Big Ten, though, is still very much alive, and although Michigan State was pushed by Southwest Missouri State in the Midwest, Mark Montgomery has led the Big Ten in assists the past couple of years, and here is why. Great bounce pass to Dwayne Stevens. He led the Spartans with 17. Stevens and the Spartans had to get fired up because the Bears, seeded 12th, gave them all they could handle. And here's an unselfish play. Crawford to Rigsby. Good effort. Southwest Missouri there doesn't come up on the tall end of that one. 61-54 the final. Cincinnati beats Delaware 85-47. Also to move on, an upset in the Southeast Regional, as Don mentioned. 10th seeded Tulane put 7th seeded St. John's away. Anthony Reed's jumper with 17 seconds left gave the Green Wave the win over the Redmen. Not bad for Tulane's first ever tournament game, especially considering they dropped basketball for 4 years after a point-shaving scandal in the mid-1980s. St. John's is upset. Elsewhere, Oklahoma State defeats Georgia Southern 100-73. A major upset in the West. New Mexico State gunned down DePaul. William Benjamin hit the J late in that game to help the Aggies beat the Blue Demons from making a comeback. As you take a look at some other scores there, Iowa State winning by 2. And elsewhere, as we said, a big upset as New Mexico State takes care of DePaul. William Benjamin with the J late in that game, and they roll right along. 81-73 is the final there. DePaul being knocked off. And as you said, Oklahoma is now trailing Southwest Louisiana 83-80. And there are just a few seconds left in that game. Oklahoma seeded 4th in that region. The NBA is looking into a connection between Michael Jordan and Eddie Dow, who was murdered in his home last month. Found in that home of Dow's copies of checks written by Jordan for over $100 grand. Dow's attorney said they were to cover gambling debts. Jordan admitted he should have been more careful in choosing his friends, but won't give up gambling.
I think everybody had been to Vegas before. I mean, Vegas or Atlantic City, that's a part of everybody's attitude or competitive attitude, and I have that.
Dow and Jordan reportedly bet $1,000 a hole at Hilton Head, South Carolina, where gambling in golf is a misdemeanor. Jordan skipped the Bulls' appearance when they were headed for the White House to play golf. Well, it is crunch time for girls basketball, as in the state semifinals. Class A, New London Spicer, rated #1, rolled on. Tiffany Young is part of a potent and balanced attack there. Her basket, part of a 47-35 win over Hancock. Angie Sampson led the Wildcats with 14. New London Spicer, as expected, is in the state championship game. And the Wildcats will now take on Tracy Milroy, a 63-49 winner over New Prague. And in that game, Tracy Milroy using pinpoint shooting and balanced attack to beat the Trojans. Sophomore Kathy Ankrum scoring 14 points in that one. The Panthers never let up. Pressure defense also paying off. Melissa Snowball finished that one. Tracy Milroy wins it by 14 over New Prague and goes to the finals. Tonight in Class AA semifinals, defending champion Burnsville against Roseville, and Duluth-Denfeld faces Moundsview and Stacy Fields. Well, the Gophers would love to finally win a WCHA Final Four tournament, and they can take a positive step in that right direction tonight at the St. Paul Civic Center. The Gophers will play Colorado College at 7 o'clock tonight. The Gophers are 4-0 against CC this year, and the winner of that game would play Northern Michigan tomorrow night for the title. The Wildcats defeated Wisconsin this afternoon. That final score was 6-3, so we could have an all-Woog final, Doug against Son Steve, if the Gophers should win tonight.
I guess. Girls basketball, I picked Burnsville in AA, but then, of course, I picked DePaul to win, so.
Shows you what you know.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Ah, spring, when young lovers begin to think about
Camry. The all-new Toyota Camry. Homegrown and one of the best new cars and best in its class. There's a great selection during the Toyota Spring Drive sales event. And your Toyota dealer wants to talk Camry. Rated one of the 10 best in 92. And now, see the all-new Camry wagon at the Spring Drive sales event. Spring is sprung.
Now, save even more as the Best Product Showroom 6-store Twin Cities going out of business sale continues. Effective immediately, cashiers deduct 40% off the lowest March price on every item in Best Jewelry department, including all diamonds, gold watches, rings, and bridal sets. And cashiers deduct 20% off the already low discount price of everything else at every corner of the store. All home furnishings, gifts, electronics, toys, everything. Come to Best today and find a truly once-in-a-lifetime savings opportunity.
All the things people come up with to talk you out of a Michelin tire. It's just as good as a Michelin. It lasts as long as a Michelin. You'll trust it like a Michelin. Well, they can try anything they want. Because once you've owned a Michelin tire, there's nothing anyone can do to talk you out of one.
Dodge Shadow. Find out why most owners of Corollas, Civics, Escorts, and Cavaliers who test drove Dodge Shadow felt it was the superior car. And now, a base Shadow America starts at only $69.92, including a driver's airbag. So make Shadow your choice during the Dodge Dare to Compare Challenge. See your Dodge dealer today and compare.
Bring the Baron home tonight. Red Baron frozen pizza.
Our final story tonight is proof that you can learn a lot more at school than just the 3 R's.
No question about it. For instance, you can learn about West African dance like students at the Ramsey International Fine Arts School did. Today, they showed off their knowledge to preschoolers at the church in Minneapolis. Ramsey students not only learned the dance steps, but they also studied the relationship between dance and the sociology and the history of the African continent.
A lot of sharing going on there today.
Indeed.
Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you tonight after the basketball games.
We'll be on about 11:30, so see you then.
You want to know where to get a great deal on glasses?
How about pearls, 30 to 60% off sale?
Every frame in the store is on sale.
Every lady's frame.
Every men's frame.
Every kid's frame.
Every frame is 30 to 60% off regular price. You don't even need a coupon. There's a far, far bigger sale than Pearl has ever had before. But hurry,
This sale will soon be history.
Feel of the road, the look of the sky, view of the world as it passes by.
The 1992 Mercury Grand Marquis, one of our best sellers for a lot of reasons. V8 power, full-size comfort, available dual airbag protection, and ABS brakes, making the quietest Grand Marquis even better.
All this in the quality of a Mercury.
Call the Investment Connection now at 371-2700.
From our studios in Hollywood, it's America's most watched game show. The famous wheel is spinning your way with lots of cash and an assortment of fabulous and exciting prizes. Over $154,000 given away so far this week. And now, here are your host and hostess, Pat Sajak and Dana White.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, folks. Thank you. See you later. Thank you very much, and welcome to Wheel of Fortune. We are wrapping up another week here, and it's been a very successful week. Lots of prizes, lots of cash. All 4 bonus prizes, Monday through Thursday, have been given away. We'd like to make it 5 in a row, and we do know what the bonus prize is tonight. It's $25,000 cash. One of you will get a shot at that. Maybe Gail. That'd be all right with you. That'd be great. Gail Tillman from Bayside, New York. What do you do back there, Gail?
I'm an elementary school teacher in District 32 in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. What grade?
I teach 5th grade.
And you have a son, it says here?
19-month-old, came out with me, but he couldn't come come here.
Well, he probably had other things to do, sure.
Yeah.
Listen, lots of luck on our show.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. And here is a